Hello everyone, Wrestling Figure Mania here, coming at you guys with a video that's a little bit different than normal, just because ever since I got my Kenny Omega AEW Unrivaled figure, I wanted to compare, do a full comparison of the similarities and differences between Mattel Elite figures and Jazwares Unrivaled figures, in terms of just to show you what you're getting when you buy these figures, because that was my number one priority before I received my Kenny Omega in the mail and my AEW figures. Is like, I really wanted to know that they would be good, and I didn't know that for sure, which is why I only ordered the Kenny Omega, not the whole set. So I thought I would make this video for those that still haven't decided on whether or not they're going to buy these figures, just to show you exactly what you're getting with these figures. So let's just get into it. Starting off with the articulation here, we'll show WWE Mattel first. WWE, they have full head articulation, an ab crunch. They have twisting of the arms here, a 90-degree bending of the elbows, 90-degree bending of the wrists, bending over, twist of the thighs, double jointed knees, ankles that roll, shins that can move from side to side, and finally feet that can move forward and backward. Now, the AEW figures, they have full head rotation. They have, this is really reflective. There we go. They have full arm rotation, double jointed elbows, 90 degree wrist rotation, as you can see. They have 360 degree movement on the ab. They have full hip twist. They have full bending of the legs. They have rotation of the thighs, double jointed knees, moving of the shins, and 360 degree movement on the ankles here, which is a little bit different from how Mattel does it, where instead of having, like, you can move it down and then kind of move it from side to side, you can only move it from side to side, which is kind of a point taken off for me, because it's really hard to pose these things. They have a very weird just base because of how the ankle joints are done. A lot of times they just want to fall forward like that, which is a little bit annoying there, because trying to move those ankle joints back and forth are a little bit stiff there. So, but once you get it, it kind of holds in place pretty well. But I'd say AEW probably. Honestly, I think it's a toss-up here, because both have their equal positives and negatives. But in terms of articulation, I'd say AEW just barely has the edge, just because of that 360 ab crunch, which is something you don't get for Mattel Elites, which, despite being the same price, Mattel hides that under a $30 Ultimate Edition, instead of just giving it to you like AEW does. So I'd say 1 point for Jazwares AEW here. The next thing I want to look at is actual build quality and feel of the figures themselves. So if we start off with Mattel, it's real concise, real easy to move here. You can tell Mattel, has this figured out. I mean, they've been in the game for a while in terms of WWE figures. I mean, for like 10 years now, they've been making these. But it just feels good in the hands. Obviously, if you're watching this video, you probably have an Elite figure lying around where you know how they feel in the hands. They feel very solid. They feel easy to move, but at the same time not super loose, at least most of the time, which it's kind of a danger with some Elites, that they will become loose like that, which is it's something you have to deal with after a while. AEW figures are a little bit different here in terms of how they feel. The arms, instead of just moving out like that, they are some kind of a zip system. Like, can you see that? It's kind of like a, which is really good for posing. That way you can be more articulate with how you want to pose it. It's kind of hard to come around on this video, but kind of moves one. You can kind of see it kind of moves one thing at a time there, to make it easier to to hold in a position. That is on the arms, and that is on the knees have that as well. So once you have it like that, it will stay in position. Whereas Mattel, if you have the knees right there, there's a good chance that the leg, if it's loose, can just move around like that. But that is very easily not the case with these AEW figures. A little bit cheap feeling in terms of how easy it is to move. This ab crunch is a little bit of a detriment, as it's sometimes when I'm using this in play, the figure will just go like all over the place in the center here. That's kind of a take back for me, but honestly, it doesn't bother me too much. I'd say the biggest detriment to this figure is that you can't bend it over too much. It mainly relies on the ab crunch to do most of the bending, but in terms of the actual waist, it doesn't bend over that much, whereas these Mattel figures, they go right over, no questions asked. Now I want to go over detail in terms of the two figures. First of all, we'll start with the heads here. It appears that AEW uses a printed-on head system, which is what WWE recently embraced here. I can't really say this looks like Kenny Omega, though. The hair feels... it kind of feels like it'll pop off very easily if I'm not too careful with it. It just doesn't really look as attached to the head as it should be. Mattel figures, on the other hand, this is a painted Seth Rollins head, so the paint chips a lot more than these printed heads, but it's all right looking. It looks a lot more like Seth Rollins than those heads do. And the hair, it feels attached. It feels like it's not gonna, come off easily like the Kenny Omega does, which is a little bit scary. But honestly, I think if you're not too rough with it, it'll stay on. Next, I want to go in the details in terms of the actual tights. They really they didn't spare any effort in putting these AEW in putting Kenny Omega's kick pad details in. This looks really nice. I can tell that these are painted on. You can kind of see brush strokes a little bit, which might be a problem if those ever start to chip off a little bit. They are just ever so slightly, but I honestly think in terms of how they look, it's definitely a lot better, and I can already tell after a few hours of using it that the paint is very it's very perseverant. It's gonna last a while. Whereas these Mattel figures, they also use painted on instead of printing it, which in some cases they do, but not always. And it's very easy for the paint to chip. Like you can see in these knee pads, paint is chipping after. I don't really use this figure too often, and it's still outside of my pick fed, and it's still got paint missing and everything. But honestly, in terms of the actual detail, I'd say AEW has the advantage on this one. You can tell that they put a lot more time, effort, and money into these figures. You're not going to see this level of detail on a typical Mattel figure, which is kind of sad, honestly, because if WWE is the richer company, shouldn't Mattel be the ones with the better designs here? But I guess that's not the case in this scenario. One additional note I want to throw in is that these AEW figures are going to be always a little bit taller than Mattel figures. So, for example, CM Punk here is in real life he's about 2 inches taller than Kenny Omega, but in figure form, Kenny Omega is actually taller than he is. You see that right there. So they're actually Kenny Omega in real life. It's about here, but not in this case. So just keep in mind that your AEW figures are never going to be proportional to your WWE figures. They're not going to be as accurate of a height as the WWE figures are. Next, I want to talk about customization, which I know is not a thing that everybody considers in a figure, but it's definitely something that I consider. And AEW 1000% has the advantage here. Mattel, if you want to do customizations, you have to have a hair dryer or stick it in boiling water, and you have to blow on it, and then the rubber becomes loose, and sometimes you have to really press to get it off. Arms and the legs, which you can't always do that with the legs. And if you want to change the abdomen on any given figure, what you have to do is you have to warm it up, take a knife, and split it open, permanently reducing the quality of the abdomen piece, because it's always going to pop out if you ever decide to change the abdomen from one figure to another. AEW, on the other hand, really has this figured out. First of all, the head, not even having to take it to a hairdryer, effortlessly pops off and it's very easy to get it back on. The chest also effortlessly pops off. You can switch that from figure to figure. Put that back on. Arms, these look pretty easy as well. I haven't tried them yet because I'm a little bit scared, but it kind of looks like, oh, no, nope, these will pop off. There we are. Very easily. And then it's very easy to get back on, I'm sure. I don't want to do this on video. Oh, nope, there we go. Very easy to get that back on. You can see that, you can make these changes. I mean, it's really quick, honestly. You don't have to go through the hassle of having to find a hairdryer or whatever. It's very easy to do. The legs pop off very easily as well, although I will say the shin part is a pain to get back on. Wrists come right off and right back on. And I'm pretty sure these legs will come off. Well, will not come off. I don't really want to test it, but yeah, I don't think these will come off quite as easily. Which I don't really see why you would want to switch the legs out, because this Kenny Omega, I mean, that's pretty much an authentic attire right there. So I'd say AEW definitely has the advantage, just because you don't have to jump through as many hoops to customize the figure as you do with Mattel figures. Which, I mean, Mattel figures definitely won't break as easily. If that's what you're looking for, Mattel figures, I mean, they'll hold strong. These AEW figures, when I use them, I kind of get the feeling that, especially in this chest part here, that something eventually is going to break or something's going to happen. But both figures, honestly, they feel really strong. But honestly, I'd say in terms of bang for your buck, AEW's got it better. But if you want to bump this up, compare an Ultimate Edition figure to this AEW figure, where both have roughly the same amount of articulation, I'd say in terms of reliability and what you're getting, you definitely want to go with those Mattel Ultimate Editions. But these AEW figures, they're really good. You can tell that they put a lot of time and effort, apart from a little bit, like, there's a couple minor nitpicks I have. This is a prime example here. This is really annoying me, this 360-degree one, instead of just the all reliable twistiness of that one. That one's just a lot easier than that. Also, these AEW figures are really hard to pose. They'll fall over a lot. And then Mattel, I mean, it's kind of the little things that Mattel has. But AEW's got the advantage in articulation and detail and, overall care they put into the figures. Mattel has the advantage on overall build quality and the heads that look a lot better. Yeah, that's pretty much it in terms of comparing AEW figures to Mattel figures. If you guys want to see, another kind of comparison video with a different Mattel figure, I can definitely do that. Just let me know in the comments below. My name is Wrestling Figure Mania, and I'll see you guys in the next video.